empowering you to live a life fully charged. This is 7,000 Volts, Living an Electrified Life with L.J. Tucker.
Welcome back to another episode of 7,000 Volts, Living that Electrified Life. And that electrified life we are living. Nothing becomes real until it's first seen. When I say seen, it's up here. Before it shows up in your life, it must show up in your mind. Right here between the ears, in the mind. You don't become what you want. You become what you see yourself as. That's why visualization is not fantasy. It's rehearsal. The more you rehearsal it and commit it to memory, you close your eyes for a moment, do your meditation, and who are you? When you are fully aligned, how do you speak? When you're no longer proving anything, how do you move? When you trust yourself. That person already exists. They're waiting for your recognition. You know, either I said this in my book or I said it before on this podcast. Little Walter drew flowers and it had faces in them. And because people didn't recognize faces being in flowers, they had him checked out by the school doctor. And then they called his parents and they said, your son is weird and something's wrong with him. We need to get him further evaluated because he's around here drawing flowers at faces in them. You know, people didn't recognize what he would be, you know, he wasn't following the script of what people thought he should have been following. And so, you know, I never met Walter, but I heard the story and they asked him, why do you do this? We can't have you drawing flowers with faces in them. And he goes, flowers do not have faces in them. And by this time, little Walter's in tears and he looked up and he said, mine does. Because his flowers had faces in them and he didn't let the adults in his life tell him otherwise, he became the proud owner of Walt Disney World. And the rest is pretty much history, you know, because Walt Disney owns a lot, ESPN, the Walt Disney Sport Complex, and you know the story. So it started in his mind even when people didn't agree with him. That person exists even when they told him he was crazy. Most people wait for life to change before they change how they see themselves. But transformation doesn't work that way. You see it first, you embody it, life responds last. If you can't see the person, you can't become the person. I mean, this is getting very biblical. Vision is permission. It gives your nervous system a new normal. It gives your choice a new reference point. It gives your actions direction. You know, in Matthew 7:7, it says, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find. It's the Bible gives so many instructions for us to be successful in life. It gives us the blueprint. We just have to spend enough time in that, his word, studying it, dissecting it, so our life can reflect it. It is seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, and everything else will be added unto us. It's like sitting at the fire asking, give me fire and then I'll give you wood. We want the blessings and we want abundant life. Sometimes we just don't want to put in the work. We want the results before the work is ever put in. This week, your only job is to see yourself clearly. Not someday, present tense. Because when vision becomes familiar, alignment becomes natural. You don't have to force it. You don't need a big break. It becomes natural. I see who I am becoming. I honor that vision. I live toward it daily. I want to share something which I read, and it's called the 50-cent lesson from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This inspired me. I've read this a dozen times and it just hit differently the other day when I was reading. It's called the 50-cent lesson. Anybody that read Think and Grow Rich, you've read this before, so you know where I'm coming from right now. A 50-cent lesson in persistence. Shortly after Mr. Darby received his degree from the University of Hard Knocks and had decided to profit by his experience in the gold mining business, he had the good fortune to be present on an occasion that provided to him that no does not necessarily means no. One afternoon, he was helping his uncle grind wheat in an old-fashioned mill. The uncle operated a large farm on which a number of colored sharecrop farmers lived. Quietly, the door was open, and a small colored child, the daughter of a tenant, walked in and took her place near the door. The uncle looked up, saw the child, and barked at her roughly. "What do you want?" Meekly, Jabba replied, "My mama said send her 50 cents. "I'll not do it," the uncle retorted. "Now you run on home." "Yes, sir," the child replied, but she did not move. The uncle went ahead with his work, so busily engaged that he did not pay enough attention to see the child to observe that she did not leave. When he looked up and saw her still standing there, he yelled at her, "I told you to go on home. Now go, or I'll take a switch to you." The little girl said, "Yes, sir," but she did not budge an inch. The uncle dropped a sack of grain he was about to pour into the mill hopper, picked up a barrel stave, and started toward the child with an expression on his face that indicated trouble. Darby held his breath. He was certain he was about to witness a murder. He knew his uncle had a fierce temper. He knew that the colored children were not supposed to defy white people in that part of the country. When the uncle reached the spot where the child was standing, she quickly stepped forward one step, looked into his eyes, and screamed at the top of her voice, "My mama got to have that 50 cents. The uncle stopped, looked at her for a minute, and slowly laid the barrel stave on the floor, put his hand in the pocket, and took out a $50 and gave to her. The child took the money and slowly backed towards the door, never taking her eyes off the man who she had just conquered. After she had gone, the uncle sat down on a box and looked out the window into space for more than 10 minutes. He was pondering with awe over the whipping he'd just taken. Mr. Darby, too, was doing the same thinking. That was the first time in all of his experience that he had seen a colored child deliberately master an adult white person. How did she do it? What happened to his uncle that caused him to lose his fierceness and become as docile as a lamb? What strange power did this child use that made her master over her superior? These and other similar questions flashed into Darby's mind, but he did not find the answer until years later when he told the story. Strangely, the story of the unusual experience was told to the author in the old mill on the very spot where the uncle took his whipping. Strangely, too, I had devoted nearly a quarter of a century to the study of the power which enabled ignorant, illiterate colored child to conquer an intelligent man. I wanted to share that with you guys because that is the power of the mind. When you see it, when you can grasp it, you can conquer anything. You can conquer people. You can conquer situations. You can live an electrified life. God bless.
This has been 7,000 Volts, Living an Electrified Life, available on YouTube and your favorite podcast app. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. For more information, visit us on the web at ljtucker.com. Remember, stay electrified.